Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Support is Sexy. This is, all of them are special, but this one is super duper special. This one is next level, my new boo special. I have Miss Nubia Young here, who is the founder of Black in Tulum, and so much more that you're going to hear about her and how we met in. No, we didn't even meet in Tulum. We met in Cancun. It's a whole thing. It's amazing.
It's a whole
It's
story.
a whole thing. I'm just crazy about her, and I'm going to tell you about her, and we're going to jump in. Nubia Young is a global visionary and quintessential connector. She is the CEO and founder of Black in Travel, a community for melanated travelers. She lived on 4 continents and explored over 44 countries, facilitating intercultural collaborations and documenting her love for food and adventure. Nubia is on a mission to inspire Gen X professionals to embody the power of manifestation. She believes in bringing people together and is passionate about helping women create their own realities to do what they love unapologetically. Nubia has been featured in Elle Magazine, Vice, Travel and Leisure, Nomadic Mad, and many other digital platforms. Martha Stewart, too, I think, Miss Nubia.
Thanks to
She was featured in
you.
all the places, featured in all the places. And she is just an amazing, beautiful spirit. And I'm so happy to know her. So please welcome Nubia Young. Yay, Nubia.
Thank you so much for having me, Elaine. I am honored to be a guest on your show. It is long overdue. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yes. And eBay in the chat already put manifestation with a question mark. You're going to hear all about it. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And thank you for reminding me actually to say if anyone watching this live has any questions for myself or certainly for Nubia, please put them in the chat. If you're watching on LinkedIn or on Facebook Live, put them in the chat. I'll take a look at them and we'll ask her some questions at the end. But right now, to start, Miss Nubia,
Yes, ma'am.
what led you? Well, first, let's tell people where you are zooming in from or streaming in from, I guess we should say.
I am tuning in from the beautiful Playa del Carmen, Mexico, where I reside. I am a
Hmm.
resident here, so this is home.
Hmm.
I
And
left
what
the
is the
United
path
States.
that led you to Mexico? Like how you get there? How you get
Okay,
there? What
so
had
I'm gonna.
happened?
What had happened was, and we gonna skip some parts. But I left the United States about 6 years ago when I was just tired. I was sick and tired of how I felt like I was being treated as a Black woman, how Black men were being treated in America. The PTSD around getting pulled over and not knowing if you're going to get home. The George Floyd situations, just all of it. And I bought a one-way ticket. I had ended up getting laid off on my job after being there for a number of years, and I just felt really unfulfilled. I was going
Hmm.
through some things mentally, emotionally, physically, and I was just like, I got to go. And had no rhyme or reason, no clue where I was going to go. But during that time, I kept searching for YouTube videos, messages, something for people that looked like me that were in my age bracket about them moving or living abroad. I couldn't find it. So I bought a one-way ticket, went to Thailand, and I started a podcast there called Chronicles Abroad. And it highlighted Gen X travelers who got up and started their Eat, Pray, Love journey, right? And so that podcast popped off and went really well. And I started dating somebody while I was in Asia, and they said they wanted to move abroad. And I was like, you know what? I'm not bringing you to Asia. How about we do something closer to the States, like Mexico? And I bought tickets to
Wait, you started
Mexico.
dating someone who was back in the States who said they wanted
Yes,
to move abroad. Okay. And when
yes,
you moved from Maryland? Where were you when you moved?
yes.
Maryland.
I
Okay.
moved from, yeah, I moved from
Maryland to
Virginia,
Thailand, from
actually.
Virginia to Thailand. Okay. And then you were
Yeah,
like, okay, let's try Mexico. Baby steps.
exactly. And they chickened out. They chickened out 4 days before
Yeah.
we were supposed to leave. And I said,
Oh.
well, I'm still going. And I landed in Mexico and I fell in love with the country and I haven't left ever since. And I've been here
And
almost 3 years.
oh my goodness, yes. Now, everyone, just so you know, Kent Parsons says, "Yay." One of the things that I just have to tell this story. I was in Mexico visiting at the time, visiting. I was taking a trip. Well, I was by myself those first few days, and then a girlfriend, Atia, came later. I was in the hotel, the Canopy Hotel in Mexico, in Cancun. I think I had just gotten in that day, maybe, and was having lunch, sitting on the side, and people were milling about in lobby, and then I was headed up to my room to shower or change, or who knows, lay down. I don't know, whatever. It was Mexico. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just happy to be there. And I walk by and I see this beautiful sister sitting on the couch in the little canopy lounge area, which is quite lovely. Anyone go to Canopy Hotel in Cancun? And what did you? I think we definitely said hey to each
I
other,
just
and
said,
then
"Hey
you said
sis."
hey
I said,
sis.
"Are you?"
Yeah,
I said, "Hey sis, are you by yourself?" And you was like, "Yeah."
yeah.
And I was
And
like, "So am
and
I."
I know. And then I said something like, I can't somehow listen, y'all. Somehow it came out that she said, I think you said maybe how long are you here? And I might have said the same. And she was like, I live here. And ever
Oh
since
yes. And
then,
so you sat down
ever
very
since
quick.
then,
You was
I
like,
was just like, let me check. You live here, do you? And that was it. And we were together like
"Yes,
every day after that, hanging out. And she was working, but I was hanging out.
yeah,
And I would tell you, Nubia transformed our whole trip just because of the type of person that she is. Again, I was there by myself the first few days, the type of person that she is, and then her business itself, Black and Travel, which you'll hear more about. But just the way she, even the hey sis, are you by yourself? How are you doing? That is just her, as it said in her bio, a global connector. So talk to me a
yes."
little bit about, making a move like this from Maryland to Asia, then to Mexico. A lot of us, I'm one of those people, as you well know, think about moving abroad, talk about
Mhm.
doing it someday, one day, but you did it. What was it that we know kind of the impetus for what made you decide to make a change, but what gave you the courage to go ahead and make that move?
I didn't see any other way. There was this, everybody has an intuitive nature about themselves, right? But there was this energetic field that was literally pulling, like pushing me out. It was like, you got to go. And I really don't know how to explain it. It's people might think I'm crazy when I say it, but I was energetically pushed out. It was like something needed to change and something needed to change drastically. So my daughter had just went off to college and my son was still in high school, and I just picked up the phone, called his father, and was like, it's time. Like, I need to pack his stuff. He's coming to live with you. I got
Right.
the other one off to college. Now it's your turn. I got to go. And I literally was like, it's time for you to go live with your dad. I need to do something. I got rid of the house. I moved into a friend's, like she had like a room in the basement, like a basement
Mm-hmm.
area. And I moved there
Mm-hmm.
for a few months, just getting myself together and getting rid of things. And I think the process of it all was the hardest, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't realize how attached you are to materialistic items, especially after having a house and kids and accumulating so much stuff.
Stuff,
So
right.
it took me a couple of months, and it was a lot of times when there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of frustration around, like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff, and I'm selling, clothes from Nordstrom and Zara for like $5 because I'm ready to just leave,
Mm-hmm.
And before I left, it was one of those things where I just said to the universe, like, I'm open. I'm open to whatever this journey is going to bring, good, bad, or
Mm.
indifferent. I'm open. And had I not been open, I probably wouldn't have lasted the entire 6 years. But I went into it with a fresh mind and open, and I was not a traveler prior. I traveled, but I never got to stay longer than 3, 4, 5 days. I think my longest trip ever was a 10-day trip to Europe. And so it was kind of like I was new to this whole world of being an expat.
Mhm.
And I was just excited. I was excited. I was scared. I was exhilarated. I was anxious. All of the emotions were there, but all I knew is that I had to try.
That I had to try. That's beautiful.
That's
And I
it.
love Barbara Bijou here, who is a woman whose vision board workshop I have taken for 10 years or so now. So I know she's loving all this talk of manifestation and vision. Hey, Barbara. And I love too that what you didn't say, we all heard all the beautiful things you did say. What you didn't say is that you were fearless, or that that you went without, I didn't have any inhibitions. I didn't have any fear or anything like that, which would be fine if you had said that.
I
But I
had
want
it
people to,
all.
I, I want people to catch that you said all those things, yep, were there in one way or another, but what you decided to do was be open and sort of
Yes.
trust the process,
Trust the
trust the
process.
space, and being pulled or pushed out, but pulled towards something, I think is a powerful place to be in. Okay, so
Yes.
we know you went to Asia, but when you get to Mexico, how does Black in Travel and Black in Tulum and all of the wonderful things that you're doing now come about for you?
So the crazy thing is, just like I was like, hey, sis, that's who I am, right? That's who I
Hmm.
am. I have always been in hospitality. I love events. I love tourism and just really talking to people, getting to know their stories and sharing stories. So from the podcast, I got to meet so many wonderful people from across the globe. Because at that point in time, I had podcasted maybe 3, 4 years by the time I got to Mexico. So I had developed so many relationships and networks. So by the time I got to Mexico, I was pretty established in what I was doing. However, I moved to Mexico City when I first got here. Not many Black people at all. So I did meet a few, but those few they had jobs. They were teachers.
Hmm.
They were wives of corporate, VPs and presidents and stuff like that. So they were there living as a diplomat, or they had some kind of status there. Here I was just kind of floating around, figuring out, what I wanted to do. And I really just fell in love with the Latin culture here. And then it started getting chilly. I ain't gonna lie. I follow the weather. Take me somewhere warm.
Warm, right? So wait, you in Mexico City at the time? You were like, it's cold here,
I said, it's getting too cold. I'm going to
right?
go to Playa del Carmen and visit some other people of color that I knew were out here. Came here and I was like, it's nice. The beaches are cute, but there's so much tourism here. So I was like, I want to go somewhere a little bit more quiet, someplace I could just kind of reconnect and see something different. And I had heard about cenotes, I heard about
Hmm.
Tulum very briefly through somebody else. So I Googled Tulum and I found out it was only about an hour away from Playa del Carmen and found my way there and got there. I packed for 4 days. I said four and put up three fingers, 4 days.
It's fine. That's what you do when you're in the island. You're like so free. You're like 3, 4, 5, whatever.
I don't even know what day it is. It doesn't matter.
You're
So
right.
I went and I stayed at a hostel named Mayan Monkey. And it was a brand new hostel at the time. It was probably open maybe about 2 months. Girl, I walked in that hostel and was like, whoa. I videotaped and did all this, like,
Because it was so nice.
it was beautiful. And our thoughts of hostels came from
Mm-hmm.
like the movie Hostel and like
And it's
young
not like
college
that.
kids, and it's not like that anymore. There are some really high end
Yeah.
boutique hostels. So I went to this hostel and I asked somebody, how old is this place? This is nice, da da da. Come to find out, their flagship is in Cabo San Lucas, and the Tulum one was one of their most recent, newer ones. So I asked to speak to the manager and I said, hey, this is beautiful. I would love to, give you guys some reviews or whatever. And the manager said, we've been watching you and you've been talking to everybody and videotaping. What do you do? And I was like, I'm a
Hmm.
traveler. I just travel and I have a network of people that kind of follow my journey and I share my experiences and stuff. And it was like, and they offered me a position right then and there to stay room and board for free for me to work with, helping tourists come in and helping them with like renting bikes and going on excursions and stuff like that. And I stayed for 45 days. I had
What?
enough
I
clothes
didn't
for
know.
4 days.
First of all, it's okay. But again, it's the Caribbean. You're going to recycle it. It's fine. But you're staying
Yes,
room. Oh my goodness. I didn't know this part of the story. This is so
yes,
amazing. And I have
girl,
to
there are
say,
so many
Shalonda
pieces.
Marie Al said, daughter in college. And she did this
Yes,
face right. Shalonda, Black don't crack. Exactly. Daughter in college.
my
Yes. Oh
youngest
my
is
goodness.
actually here in Mexico with me now. He's 22.
Uh, Oh my goodness. Her youngest is 22, everybody.
Yeah.
So they offer you a job. So I love this. Again, just being open, flexible. You didn't say, oh no, I only have clothes for 4 days. It sounds like you were like, okay, sure.
I stayed. I
I
stayed in
stayed.
Tulum and I loved it. It was such a beautiful place. And it was pretty untouched at the time. There weren't many people of color. There weren't a lot going on. It was a very lazy town, right?
Kind of
Like
beach
sleepy town.
town, sort of sleepy
Very
town. Yes.
small, beachy,
And I've
sleepy
been,
town.
but only on vacation. You don't think of it to live necessarily.
Exactly. So I ended up staying, and long and behold, I was supposed to leave back to Asia on March 25th. So when I left Tulum, I came back to Playa del Carmen and I landed a position as a director of a luxury Black owned travel company. And so I was working with them, getting prepared for the upcoming travel season. And we started in January. And by time March hit, we were already under lockdown.
All right.
So I ended up getting
2020.
exactly. I ended up getting quarantined in Playa del Carmen before we were heading to Singapore, and I quarantined for those months. And people felt like they couldn't travel anywhere because they kept saying all the borders were closed. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Mexico's borders were never closed technically. The air borders were still open, but the land borders were closed. So when the state of Mexico, I mean, not the state of Mexico, the state of Quintana Roo decided to open up a little bit and allow us to travel from, Cancun and to Playa to Tulum, I went back to Tulum, found an apartment, and I stayed because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't go anywhere else. Girl, that's when Black in Tulum started. I put together,
So many, I mean,
I
of
put
course, there's been
together
some
brunch.
horrible things from COVID, but there's been some brilliance that came out of
Oh,
quarantine.
I mean, it skyrocketed. It was like a respite for people that was like finally something that we can do because everybody had
Mm-hmm.
been cooped up for, what they said, what, initially 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turned
Right.
to several months.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the beaches of Tulum again. Some of the beaches were still shut down. Some things were still slower, but things were starting to pick up just a little bit. It was so beautiful because nothing had been touched for months on end. And then, but it was so sad at the same time because people here thrive off of trying to sell, right? Like tourism, and there's no tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So I found like a small, couple of people that I would see here and there, and I was like, "Yo, let's go to brunch together. Why is there a handful of people of color here? We're not connecting. Like that doesn't make sense. Let's connect." And I had a brunch. That brunch had 8 people, and
And this
then the
was
next
when? This was like April,
this
May
this was
maybe.
actually in July
July. Okay.
of 2020. Yes, I was quarantined from March to July, and
Okay.
then I went to Tulum, and I started at the end of July. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a name for it or anything. It wasn't supposed to be a business. It was just like, let's get
The
together.
intention was connecting.
That's it. That was the intent. And I had the first one, 8 people came. Second one, 20 something people came. It wasn't until there was a beautiful family, husband and wife duo with their son. And they come pretty much running in there. Just like, Black people,
Right.
like, hey.
Right.
And they were coming from Merida. They were actually living in Merida, and they heard about people of color being in Tulum. So they came to Tulum. And somebody was like, yo, this is dope. And I was like, let's create a group on Facebook where we can connect and do this more often. And I looked around and I was like, let's call ourselves Black in Tulum because we're Black people in Tulum.
In Tulum.
And I opened the Facebook group that day, and I asked everybody at the brunch would they, join the group. They joined the group, 23 people. Today we are a year and 7 months old. We have 20,000 people in the Facebook group and 23.3 thousand on our Instagram, and an email list over 16,000. It's amazing how
It's
it just skyrocketed.
amazing. Oh, I love the story. Anyone, if you have questions, I'm going to keep going. But if you have questions for Nubia, please ask her. We're speaking to Nubia Young, who is the CEO and founder of Black in Travel. And she's talking about how it all started with Black in Tulum. Nubia. Oh my
Yes,
goodness. I
ma'am.
love that. I love the story of that growth and how it was organic and also how connection was at the center of it. And it's funny,
Yes.
I've been having, I mean, as most people probably have been having such conversations about if you were in any way conscious or aware, or even if you weren't, I feel like during 2020 and even in 2021, you realize how much we're all connected or how much we need connection, even if we were so busy before that, I feel like, of doing our own thing, everybody in their own space, etc. And this idea of community and connection was missed, and that's what you
It was.
tapped into organically. So tell us now what Black in Tulum looks like today. What kind of, I know you're doing so much in addition to all the people, but how has it expanded and grown today? Or Black in Travel, Black in Tulum is part of that.
Yeah, so Black and Tulum is how we started. I call it our flagship brand, right? I was hosting approximately 4 to 5 events a week, including yacht experiences,
I went on one of
brunches,
those. Amazing. It's
exclusive
amazing.
brunches. Actually, when I met you, it was because I was at Canopy because Hilton and I partnered up. And I was
Mm-hmm.
at the hotel doing some meetings. So I was kind of just like checking Cancun out. And while I was there, I had access to restaurants. You know, we had
Yeah. Oh
table,
my The
we had,
food. I wish
the
y'all were
food was
there. I
amazing.
can't even explain. We had the food, the scenery, the music,
The
dancing. It was just
hospitality.
hospitality was off the hook. And Nubia does not play when it comes to the hospitality. She will check somebody quick in a kind way to let them know you need to step it up. It was amazing, amazing.
It was beautiful. It was
So you
beautiful.
were doing
So
5 or 6 events a week.
yes, I was burning out. And then, unfortunately, in November, my father passed away. So
Hmm.
I literally had to drop everything because I am the only child. So it just, you know, and what it taught me was that I think, how can I put this? I was upset at the fact my father was an absentee father all my life. And then we kind of reconnected when I was like 30 something. He was a great grandfather and everything, but I didn't have as much time to really get to know him. So for him to just kind of like pass away on me, I was like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
you abandoned me when I was a kid and now you're abandoning me as an adult. You're supposed to be here. And being the only child, I didn't really have anybody to reach out to talk to, and all those things. And what it taught me was that I didn't have the right people in place in my business because I needed
Mm-hmm.
to leave. And if I left, that meant my business stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like basically halt almost everything. And that was devastating because this was now my bread and butter. It's, you know, Black and Tulum was my full time. People relied on my events because they planned their trips around coming to these events. So there was a lot of guilt, anger, frustration, hurt, sadness, all of that. And what it taught me though was you need to get your stuff in place, Nubia. You know what I'm saying? Like Black and Two was great. It's fun, right? But it's a business. So as a business, you need to have the right people in place. You need to have people you can trust. You need to have, you know, so I had to take the time out. The universe basically was put me at a halt. And so I decided to rebrand as Black and Travel because I wanted to be able to expand outside of Tulum. Because if I stayed Black in Tulum, it kept me in a box, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to expand and create more impact and be able to utilize the resources that I've learned along the way and the things that I've heard people say that they are looking for and want and desire, and take that globally. So as Black in Travel, I decided to halt on, you know, 5 or 6 events and only host 2 a week, which I put other people in place of while I work on the back end to bring in an executive team, to bring in people that have the knowledge and the experience that can work alongside me. And that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at
And so now when you say expanding to other areas, it's sounds like it's scaling to other destinations. I
now.
know I
Correct.
got an email about, was it Singapore? It was
Dubai.
a couple. Dubai.
Yes.
I signed up for all the waiting lists, everybody. All the waiting lists. I was like, yep, I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. Because, and this is the thing too, and I think, from just a business standpoint for everyone, one, we talked about intent already, but also doing your best with what you have,
Yeah.
right? One of my favorite quotes is from Arthur Ashe that says, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So you think about it, Nubia started with a brunch, which I'm sure was lovely and put together lovely and at a great restaurant. But it wasn't like I'm going to go launch this big beach party looking out for 100 people to show up. And I mean, if you can do that, that's great. But I think sometimes we think it has to be like this to begin, as opposed
It
to
doesn't.
what do I really want to create here? And then how can I grow that? I've been even looking at myself in that way. Like, what am I really trying to create? What's the important sort of centerpiece of all of this? And
Yeah.
then how can it grow, outside of that? And then you start, as you are, putting these other things in place. And of course, I'm so sad to hear about your dad passing.
Yeah.
And I think, though, your insight on that time period is so enlightening, because it is, a moment where you're like, wait a minute, if anything, if you have to step away or you just want to go on vacation, even if nothing tragic or anything happens, right? Even if the founder and CEO wants a break, or you're going away to do, even people who are CEOs take sort of self-care trips to brainstorm or come up with other ideas, etc. You don't want your business to stop
To
just because
suffer,
you have
yeah.
to do those to suffer. Yeah, not even to stop, to suffer. So a couple
Yeah.
of comments here from Natasha. Thanks, Natasha. Said, I've been considering a move myself. I went to Mexico 4 times last year. Natasha, you go on and move. You've been to Mexico 4 times in the last year. I would suggest. What do you suggest she joins Black in Tulum on the
Yes,
Facebook
most
group
definitely. You can join Black
and
and Tulum
travel
on
and
Facebook group.
follow? Go ahead.
Yes. Well,
How else?
Natasha, I think it's great that you're even interested in moving to Mexico. And, this is the first time I'm saying this live and out loud, but one of the things that I'm really considering doing with Black and Travel is assisting people with moving abroad temporarily, either for a sabbatical or for, a couple
Mm,
of months. I have friends that have been doing it now since I've been here for the last 3 years. People are like, how you like, and they're so comfortable with knowing that I'm here.
right.
So, helping people to get an apartment for 2 months, 3 months, making sure the Wi-Fi is set up, making sure it's close to, the grocery store, making sure it's, it has all the bells and whistles that you need to feel comfortable at the price point that you need. And I've been doing that now for the last couple of years. And I'm just like, this is a whole ass
This is a
business outside.
whole ass of a business.
Oh,
This is Black and Travel Concierge Service, Black and
exactly.
Moving. Yes.
So
Oh my
it's something
goodness.
that I'm seriously considering because I know so many of us want to do it. And not everybody, like you said earlier, Elaine, has that fearless, I'm just going to do it. And some people need structure in a certain way and they feel more
Right.
comfortable
And people
knowing
have
that
other
they have.
considerations. I always tell people we all have different considerations. Maybe like for me, I don't have kids, but it would be my parents and, things here that you have to put in place. So we all have those things. But I think I love that idea of helping people as a business to put some things in place so that they feel more comfortable. And I think, Natasha, this might be, of course, I don't know your background, all your experience or what ties you might have in the States. But the idea of, for anyone who is thinking about moving abroad, what Nubian just said, maybe you can go for a couple months or for especially like the summer or, certain time of year, maybe it's slow in your business or company. You can go and work remote, especially now while
Hmm.
companies are still kind of open to the remote thing, even though they're trying to push people back into the office because they have all this real
Yeah.
estate. That's a whole other thing. But just this idea of how can you, what are the possibilities? And I think that's one of the things that for me that Nubia certainly represents personally as a woman, as a Black woman, as a business owner, and all of these different ways. What are the possibilities? Why do I need to
They're
be
endless.
limited? They're
They're
endless.
actually endless because the
Exactly.
reality is you create your reality. If you go into it with, you know, um, fear, like lots of fear, where it keeps you stagnant, it's almost like you can't move. You have to allow yourself comfortability. And, not everything in life is comfortable, but you got to feel enough. If you feel enough comfortability to at least make the first step, you never know what's going to happen once you keep stepping and who you're
Hmm.
going to meet and the things, and it just opens the floodgates. I would never have met Elaine had I not opened my mouth and said, hey girl, hey, like, you know
Yeah.
and it's almost like Drake's song "No New Friends." I hate that song because I'm just like, no, absolutely meet new people. You never know
You never
who you're
know.
going to meet. A simple smile and a
Yep.
simple hello goes a long way. It could be your next. Honestly, I met my partner by knocking. My partner was my neighbor.
You-
And I knocked
what
on
did
the
you do?
door to
Yeah.
introduce myself to say, hey, I'm your neighbor, Nubia. And we've been together ever
Would
since.
get
You
oh
just
my
never
gosh, you
know.
never know.
You never.
Exactly. You never know. And if nothing else, like you might find love or you might just meet someone and have a brief connection. That's what I say about connecting with people with, with
It
asking for
doesn't hurt.
support or stuff. It can't hurt. It's just a little connection. All right. All of a sudden, all the questions are popping up here. I love it. All right. Let me make sure we get some of these in. Morgan G says, hi, Morgan. How many Black people are there now? I guess she means in Tulum. And what is the cost of living in comparison to, say, Los Angeles?
Oh, well, LA is far.
Just
Okay,
maybe the state's overall average.
let me start with the first question. How many Black people are here in Playa del Carmen in general? Because between Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, there's thousands,
Hmm.
literally.
And
When
are
I
there
first got
community?
here,
Go ahead.
yes, go ahead.
You go.
Oh, okay. When I first got here, there was a handful. Now there are thousands, literally. I mean, I can honestly say there's 100 plus just in Playa by itself. A couple of hundred that probably live here temporarily, and some that have their residency and live here now.
And
And
cost of living wise, let's say, just because we're going to just give a range, kind of Morgan, not necessarily LA, but if what kind of things could $2,000 a month get you in Playa del Carmen, girl?
girl, okay. So
I
first
already
things
know.
first.
I'm ready to move. So I already know. So I'm just telling you to tell Morgan and them. What? Just
All
give
right, I'm
people
gonna I'm
a
gonna put
thousand,
every
whatever.
I'm going to put everything on the higher end because things are becoming more expensive as more people
More
flood
people.
in, right? I mean, it's literally that's what happens when when they
Hmm.
see that people want it, they jack the prices up. Currently, we have a two-bedroom condo with a huge, beautiful, like walls that open up into complete windows, rooftop, with pool, all beautiful amenities, right? $1,000 a month. And I have a housekeeper. I had a cook at one point, and we have a masseuse that comes to the house. And I mean, what else do you need? And it's
I
all
know. I
under.
know. Morgan, just move. Just move. Just move.
I
It's
mean,
awesome.
literally
But that's one
everything
of
together for 2,000, you could live extremely comfortable. For 2,000, you could live closer to the beach. We walk to the beach in the mornings, and that's about a 10-15 minute walk. Um, But if you want to live on the beach side and be at the beach, then you're at the higher end. You're probably going to get a two-bedroom for a 15 or 1,600
yeah.
on
So
the beach.
and I think, to Morgan, just to first follow Black and Travel, make sure to follow Nubia, and they have their emails are fantastic, full of information, and of course what they're up to. But I think that's something that's important for people to consider too when you're thinking about making a move or considering for a short term, however you're going to do it, looking at it's cost of living, but you and I, Nubia, always talk about quality of life. That is what I mean. I think that's what you pulled you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but thinking quality of life wise, that's what had attracted me to Mexico. Quality of life possibilities because of talking to Nubia, because of talking to Akina, who we both know, who is also there with her son and her nephew. So just hearing the experience of other people who have done it is so powerful. So I want to get to some more questions. Okay, Nubia, the movement said is it difficult to find employment in Cancun? I actually will be coming down there next Thursday to Cancun, but would love an opportunity to stay long term. So, what is your insight? We know you're not, the employment person, but what do you
Yeah.
think of
if you're
opportunities?
in if you're in tourism or hospitality at all in any way, shape, or form, you may have a little bit easier way of getting employment in Mexico. Honestly, if you don't speak Spanish, it might not be the best course of action for you. If you do have language in your background and your belt, then a-okay. I honestly would say get a job that has remote access where it allows you to live anywhere in the world. So this way you can have and get your residency in Mexico by proving to them that you can sustain yourself here. And
Hmm.
because they don't want you to come here and take jobs from the Mexican people. That's why it could be some difficult. But things like Amazon, Netflix, they all have headquarters in Mexico
Mm.
City, Monterrey. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Colgate, Benz. I mean, Volkswagen has a factory in Puebla. I mean, some of the top heads, Deloitte, all of those places have headquarters in Mexico. So if you can find a corporate job, if you want it, if you're in the corporate world, if you can find a corporate job in the States that has ties internationally, that's a way to look at it. Or just find a job that is allows you to work remotely. And a lot of these countries are starting to open up visas for digital nomads.
Right. I saw that the different countries, certain countries are like just like you said, opening opportunity or possibilities for digital nomads, people to work
Mhm.
remotely, all these different kind of because that the possibility was always there. I know I'm one of these people who's like, Zoom has been there forever, but it's fine.
Mhm.
Everybody just gone on. But the companies are like, oh, if I can, it's better for them because they get more access to all this talent that can come from anywhere or now who can work from
Exactly.
anywhere. So,
And they
so
don't have the
hopefully
overhead. They
and
don't
they
got
don't
to
have
pay
their
for
own.
your office.
Exactly. So, Nubia, what would you say you are most excited about these days when it comes to Black and travel or anything?
The possibilities. Honestly, I think that I know I'm a visionary. I'm a dreamer. I'm an idealist. I have so like my ideas expand the universe in a sense. It's funny. I was watching Kanye West bio doc yesterday on Netflix,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
yes, he's a little, he's going through whatever he's going through now, but
Haven't seen that.
it's actually not too bad because every I thought he just came in the game, but he had put in work to be where he is today, and he put in a lot of work. But he always believed in himself. He always was like, it's going to happen because I know I'm good. I know I can put in the job. So I am starting to adapt that kind of easy thought process. Like, Nubia, you've been doing this. It's been 6 years. You wrote about it. You talk about it. You help people.
Hmm.
You've done this. You put in the work. It's time. It's time. So in my heart, in my mind, I'm like, I got my boxing gloves on. I'm like, it's time.
You ready? Right. I see you bobbing and weaving. It's time. It's
It's
time.
like, I'm
I
ready.
love
I'm
that.
ready. I'm excited about the possibilities of what's happening next.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that because I think sometimes that's all you got, right? I mean, there's going to be times when it works to everyone listening and watching or watching it later. There's going to be times when it all works and it all looks good, or even on social media, it looks like, oh, Nubia got it going on. She got it so easy. It comes so, you know what I mean? Where we know,
Listen, I
the
share
glow
all my
up
stories, good,
goes
bad.
exactly. You are. I love that about you too. But that's the thing, for everyone again watching, just remember sometimes that faith in yourself is all you got. And you have to kind of hold on to it and believe that you can accomplish whatever this is or figure it out or find someone who can support you. We're all about support. Support is sexy. Find the people, the resources, the places that can support you. And Black and Travel and Numia are definitely one of those places for anyone considering opening your own borders, right? Expanding your own borders and thinking about what's possible for you. So, Nubia, tell everyone how they can find out more about you, where exactly they should follow, how they can get in touch with you, and all that good stuff. Natasha said she will
Awesome.
definitely join the Facebook group. Thanks. Great, Natasha.
Awesome. So right now we have not fully moved into Black and Travel. We are still named Black in Tulum. So you can look us up online at www.blackin Tulum. TULUM.com. We are on Instagram at Black in Tulum. We are on Facebook at Black in Tulum, and also now TikTok. TikTok, we
Oh,
are listed, I believe, as Black in Travel because we're trying to move into this new space. So bear with us. And if you want to follow me directly, my Instagram is I am Nubia Young, and that is Young with an E. So
I am
yes.
Nubia Young. Excellent. A one bedroom apartment, 20 more hundred. Okay, I'm just looking at some of the other comments. Excellent. I think I put it in the chat, everyone, blackintulum.com. If you didn't get that, black in Tulum, Tulum.com. And you
Yes.
can follow on, again, Instagram, join the Facebook group, just get in touch. And I think, follow Nubia, but you don't have to ask her personally the question, whatever question you have, or don't be held up by that. I'm not saying don't ask her. I just know that Nubia is very much about there's 20,000 people in this group
In
who
the
can
group.
help you, who can support
And
you.
they're
Like, don't
excellent. They're all
ex-
awesome. The group is exhilarating. It's crazy to see.
exactly. They're sharing their experiences. If you say you're looking for a hotel, or, you get immediate feedback, just like you would if you were looking at reviews somewhere else. These are
It is
folks
the
who can.
Black Trip Advisor from Mexico. I promise you.
It is. That's why I'm
That
telling
is
people, like, don't
amazing.
be like, I sent Nubia a message. I'm waiting to hear back. Why? There's 20,000 people who literally tell you what they think of wherever you want to go. So
And
make
that's the
sure,
thing. I'm not the one staying in hotels. I have an apartment. It's like you have to.
right? Her experience is different. She's like, I live here, which
I
is
live
why
here.
I sat down next to her because I was like, I want to live here too. Tell me all about it. And and it's funny. Okay, I got to say this before we go. This is why I was drawn to Nubia because I know she's very much like this. I was in Mexico traveling, having fun for a trip, vacation, if you will, for a week or so after my book came out. Atia, my girlfriend, like I said, from DC, was coming in to join me later. But I was really in the space of, could I live in Mexico? I've always wanted to live abroad somewhere. South Africa is on my list. And I'm thinking, okay, as we said, considerations. Okay, Mexico is only a 3 hour or so flight from Atlanta. my parents are here, and if I were there, it would be easy to go back and forth. So again, thinking about the considerations. So that was in my mind. And I was there thinking, oh, I'm going to hook up with my friend Akina, who lives in Playa also, see her later, see how that goes, check out how she likes it. And then I meet this other sister who's there in the lobby. And funny, I would have walked past Nubia, not because I was ignoring you. I don't think I saw you because you were sitting on the side. I was up, but I just remember hearing, hey, sis. I was like, hey, 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 who's talking to me? Hi. So it not only changed my experience from fun and restaurants and hanging out and all that, which it certainly was, which we talked about. And I also got a friend out of it, and I got to explore what could be possible for me. So again, just being in that space, just to share with you all from the other side of it, someone who was there kind of like in that stage you were a few years ago. I don't, let's see, let me just feel it out and see. I'm convinced I can do it. I just got to
But
make
it
the
took for
move.
you to come. And when you came, you met me. And that's my
And
point, is you never know who you're sitting
right.
next to. You never know. Had a friend come visit me and she was like, girl, I'm on the flight. And I hear people behind me going, yeah, you going to that Black and Tulum event on Wednesday. And she turned around and was like, hey, I'm friends with the
Right. I know her.
I know her. And I
I
was
know her.
dying laughing. But it's
I love
amazing. You
that.
just never know who you're going to meet with a simple hello.
Exactly. Nubia, thank you so much. I'm so glad we had our simple hello and that we are in touch now forever. I'm never letting her go. I'm so glad we've been talking about this conversation since hi. We've been talking about this conversation since I think since Mexico. We were going to do it there, then we're going to do it later. So glad we had this conversation. Again, everyone, please follow blackandtulum.com or at blackandtulum on Instagram. Also, Nubia's I am Nubia Young with an E on the end. Make sure you follow her. And Nubia, we are going to keep watching you and celebrating you and just so excited about everything that's coming next. Thanks for being an
I
inspiration to so many of us.
Thank you for having me, Elaine. And if you
Of
haven't
course.
copped that book, y'all better cop her book, y'all. That book
Yeah,
is,
I
I've
got
been
it.
reading, honey, I've been reading it and going, oh my gosh, this is me. Oh my gosh, let me get out of this.
Right.
I need to stop saying, I got it, and let people help me. And that is going to help me in my business. So thank you for putting that out there for people like me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hold on just a second. Thank you, everyone, so much for participating. We'll talk to you soon.